Hello YouTube, welcome back to the garage and part 6 of our engine rebuild, which seems quite a lot I'm sure, but I'm trying to cover it in some detail just in case you want to have a crack at it yourself. It's not an instructional video, I'm just showing you how I do it step by step. I'll give you options, always read the manual like I said in the previous video. So let's see where we left off, shall we? And it's on the bench. All I've done since you last left was I put a bolt in that to stop it moving, and I put 2 bolts in the oil pump housing, which is not fully home because it's got the gasket on and I need a little bit of room when I fit the cover, but I just want to make sure I don't knock it. So those 2 bolts will hold that in place. I think everything is in place, ready to go. It's all been oiled or covered with assembly lube. The only thing left in this half is the drain plug, which is magnetic in this case. New washer. It's not a great fit, the new washer. That fits really well on the threads. And that rattles about, which is not ideal, but there you go. Now that it is the rolled type, so there's a seam there. I don't know if you can see the seam. So the seam goes to the nut side and the smooth flat side up against the cases where it will seal most effectively. At least it will if I can get them to go in. There we are. Right, so I can't think of anything else left for this side, so it's time to turn our attention to the other. And there it is. Now, the original sealant is a really thin, almost like a lacquer compared to modern sealants. And the closest thing I've seen to it is an American product called Gascacinch, which isn't that easy to find in the UK. But given these are machined so beautifully, that's all it needs really. Anyway, I normally use Rotoseal. I'm a great fan of Rotoseal. It was a Peugeot supplied sealant in lots of their kits back in the late 80s and 90s. But I went to get my Rotoseal out and it's gone off in the tube. So I won't be using that. So I'm just going to use a blue assembly lube made by Granville, but I picked up exhaust assembly lube, which is really stupid. And now I've got to try and work out where I left the gasket glue. Well, this is going well. Right, found it. It's not actually Granville at all, it's by a firm called Avro, who I don't really know, but it's what I've got on the shelf and that's what I'm going to use. So, because these cases are so well machined, you really don't mind. Even this is gummed up. Hang on one second. Right. Preparation is the key as ever. Right. Now, according to the manual, you've got to make sure if you're using sealant that it doesn't go anywhere it's likely to squeeze into the engine when you're finished. So they recommend only applying it on the outside edge, which is what I shall do. As I say, you only need a very thin smear because the Citroen cases, 2CV cases, are really nicely machined compared to lots. Anyway, I shall continue doing that and bring you back. Right, it's lubed up. Sorry, not lubed up, gasketed up. And cam followers are lubed and stuck in place. Now, if all has gone properly, we should be able to feed that through there and line everything up. hopefully it'll go together. And there we go. No drama, no hammering. Everything just popped into place. So I know that the crank's right. Excellent. Right, happy bunny. Right, so then we need our large bolts, which I can't remember what Citroen say about lubrication. Normally you just lubricate the shank and not touch the threads. Sometimes they want the threads lightly oiled, and for the life of me I can't remember. So I'll just go and check. Right, I've had a quick look, can't find it, so I'm just going to do what I normally do. Please check the manual yourself later, but what I normally do, you squirt oil everywhere. You just give it a light oil, make sure the threads have a light oil. Right, so there's 2 on this side, 2 on the other. I'll just check the alignment of the cases to make sure nothing's sticking out in any peculiar fashion, which nothing is. Everything's on the locating studs as well, so I'm perfectly happy with that. So I'll just nip these down and then do the 2 on the other side. Not very tight yet, because I just want to hold the case house together whilst I sort everything else out. So lightly nipped up, spin it round, move another 2. This is now definitely fully attached. I'll just wipe any excess glue off. Now there are smaller fittings, of course, all around, which we'll do in a minute, but before I do that, I just want to make sure our oil pump's going to be okay. Looks good. Right, so we have our second strainer bolt. There's probably a torque setting for that as well, but I can't think what it is. So I'm just going to gently nip it up. It's not critical, I'm sure, but again, check your manual. Don't be sloppy like me. I've done these a few times, never had a problem, so I just do what I normally do, but very much a case of don't do as I do. Sorry, don't do as I, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean. Right. So our oil pump. Which we checked in the earlier video, has a cutout which sits on the end of the cam. And then we're going to put lots of assembly lube all around the inside of the housing, all around the rotor, and then also all around that. Around the inside of that, and then we have to line that up like so, push it all home, and then yet more assembly loop in the gap, which seems a bit excessive, but it helps with oil pressure on startup, or if it's going to sit for a long time, the last thing you want is your oil pump to be giving you problems. So, excess removed from the outside. Now Citroen did say no sealant on the paper gasket, but they do say sealant around the outside of that for some reason, which obviously they know best. So we're going to do the same again as we did with the crankcase halves, and only put it round the outside to make sure nothing's going to get inside that oil pump. And sparing amount as well, because again it's a nice big flat well machined surface, it's not going to pour out. Right, that should go like that. But again, I think I'll run them down and then torque the case and then torque them to minimise load on them. Right, that's just down, not really tightened. So we're going to torque up our big securing nuts now, I think, and then we'll fit the smaller ones. Now the big ones. Right, I've had a quick look in the manual for the torque for the larger studs, and the Citroen manual recommends torquing these 12 millis down to 13.5 pounds, I think it said, before tightening the large nuts, large bolts in this case. So that is what I shall do. Just make sure they're all down evenly before we start going mad. Yep. Right, so they're all down to the recommended torque. Now Citroen say do the big ones. I'll do that side a minute. You don't specify a sequence in the book. Lovely. Right. So now, before we go any further, it's a bit more oil onto the cone rod bearings. Oh, now then, there's a problem. We're not turning. Why are we not turning? Oh dear, I just had it in the wrong place. Right, okay. I panicked there for a second. I thought, bloody hell, what have I done wrong? And the answer is nothing. Must have had it just at the wrong point. So there you go. Crank turns freely, thank goodness. Oh, one of those heart-stopping moments there for a second, but what on earth have I done? Right, there you go. Good, good, good. Right, so we now have these small crank half securing nuts and bolts to sort out, which also have a torque spec. But again, I'm very naughty because I don't bother, I just tighten them up. They're only minor peripheral fittings now. The main fittings are tight. Again, ignore what I do. Look at the manual. Do it properly. But I'm doing what I'm doing. Right. So I'm missing one. So I'll panic about that in a minute. That's the oil cooler. I'm missing one there, and then the rest should be around the bottom. So let's move this and find all our appropriate little nuts and bolts for you. Oh dear. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Right, you see where they're going, so I'll just tighten these up and then move on to the next ones. I'll bring you back. Right, that's on tight. 13.75 pound torque according to the workshop manual. I just tightened them down. There's another stud there. It takes a nut, and then there are 2 more to do, which we're now going to have a look at. Sorry, there's one more. The nut and washer that I have left over is, of course, for the long bolt at the top, which I'm going to have to go and find. There must be in another box. I thought I'd put them all together. So we've got another one here, directly underneath the oil pump housing. And I'll go and find that long bolt. So again, like the others, same torque as mentioned. Let's ratchet. That'll do. It's only on a very light torque setting. Right, well, you know where the other bolt's going, up top in the middle. I'll just fit it later, show you later. So while we're here, we have to fit. Oh, it's starting to get heavy again, and I'm a weak old man. We have to fit our oil seals. Now, according to Citroen, they only have to be greased and put in place. One at the front, one at the back. Now, I know some people like to use sealer on these. So, just if you do like that, just a very small amount really, because you don't want it pushing into the engine. And these can be slightly awkward because the lip falls back. I don't know if you can see that. I'm pretty certain you won't be able to. Come on, baby. They're tight. Oh. Right. Now, there is a permissible depth in the workshop manual, but I always just put them in flush, which has always worked for me up till now. It's a better hammer, not quite sure how I ended up with a body hammer. Size piece of tubing, you can use that. I haven't here. Oh, that's tight in there though. Right, the front one's normally easier. Normally. Yes. There we go. That's just going to go on finger pressure. Lovely. Excellent. Right. Good. Bit of firm finger pressure. Sort that out. Right. Next up then. Should really be finding this bolt, but I'll get that in a minute. So we're going to do the oil filter housing, which, if you recall, had an O-ring on it. No gasket, just an O-ring. Again, I don't know if Citroen recommend putting any seal around this. I'm not really happy doing so. I'll just check the workshop manual. No, can't find any mention of it. You probably think I'm being a bit paranoid, but I don't want to lead anyone astray with my bad habits. I don't normally put any sealant on them. I normally just bolt them on because the O-ring is what's stopping the oil getting out. So I'll just grease the O-ring and we will attach it. But the first box I walked to had the correct bolt. Right, camera cut out there. Wasn't paying attention, ran out of battery. Right, okay. Just to recap. I don't like fitting gasket goo around the oil pump housing. Personal preference. I know people use sealants. I don't. It's just the way it is. Don't want to, not going to. Right, so that fits on with a short and a long Allen headed bolt. Oops. Which in this case is they're of different materials, so something's changed since this was fitted. And whilst I was finding that, I also found a top bolt, which I'd forgotten about previously, which we will also tighten up. Right. Right, can't find a torque setting for them. There will be one. 6 milli Allen. I'm just going to tighten it down. Now, further to my comments on sealant, the aftermarket manual I looked at says fit sealant. The Citroen manual I have says don't use sealant. I don't use sealant, it's up to you. And also, whilst I was looking for torque figures, the Citroen manual I've got for them say £13 and the aftermarket manual says 10. I don't know. I've gone for 13 because that's what Citroen said. Right, anyway, so there's the union on. So whilst we're here, we might as well fit the oil filter. Actually, we won't, because I want to talk about oil filters, so we'll save that and just go around fitting other stuff. But that's for this afternoon. It's now lunchtime. I'm going to go and eat something and then we'll come back to this when I'm refreshed. Okay, so the last couple of things to do in this video, which will basically finish off our bottom end, is a new oil pressure switch made by FIA. Nice good quality make. Tiny amount of grease on the threads just to stop them galling. And that goes in there. It only needs to be nipped up. No need to go mad with it. And then round the other side. Let's get heavy again. We have our relief valve. So our piston. Now, I have known these to stick on engines that have been sat for a long time, which then causes a lot of problems. So this one's going to get some assembly lube to make sure that's not going to happen in storage. It's just well covered. And then a spring that goes in there. Like so. Then we have a cap which is fitted with a new washer which comes in the gasket set. I've cleaned up that cap, it's a bit rusty, but just cleaned up a bit, make it a little bit better. And then that's attached using a 17mm spanner. Again, there's no need to go really mad tightening it. Just needs to nip down onto the copper washer like so. So we might as well finish off the video going back to our oil filter. Now the original oil filters were by Peripheral, which are the best, without shadow of a doubt. So if you can get Peripheral, fit Peripheral. But because I have a curious nature, I've tried lots and lots and lots of different oil filters over the years. Now, the ones that are around at the minute in France from the independents seem to be crankcase. I've used 3 of these so far. Seem perfectly okay. And then Mahari Cassis sell their own oil filter, which has had very good reviews. There is the old standby of the French hypermarket oil filters. This is an old Cora one that I've had sitting about for a bit. But I can't even say it now, Norauto, which you'll find on French hypermarket sites, also sell a budget oil filter, which has been used extensively, doesn't seem to be a problem. And on my car at the minute, I've got a Bosch because I needed a filter quickly, and that's what my local car parts people can get hold of, is Bosch. And it's very good. So, if you remember to order one with your parts, get Peripheral. If you don't panic, as long as you buy a reasonable quality oil filter, like a Bosch, or if you're in France, pick up something else. It shouldn't cause you any issues. It hasn't caused me any issues over many, many, many years. I think I've been driving A series for about 38 years now, something like that. I've tried all sorts of filters. I've never had an engine fail, and certainly not one I could attribute to an oil filter. So I'm going to fit a Cora one because that's what's in my hand at the minute. So, like all oil filters, make sure it's clean. Just like every other oil filter, give the rubber ring I'm having trouble with this oil can today. Oh, there we go. Don't want to work in it, it shoots everywhere. Make sure the rubber's well oiled. A little bit on the threads because it's been sitting dry for a long time. And on we go. Right. Only tighten by hand. Makes removing a lot better. Now, from my Peripheral spanner isn't here at the minute, but I've got a funny feeling that it fits these French aftermarket ones that you get in the hypermarkets. I'll double check that for you and let you know in the next video. But I'm pretty certain it does. Right, so basically that's the bottom end done. So the next video we'll be building up the top end and sorting out cylinder heads. So until then, please subscribe, please comment, please share the videos, tell your friends. If you liked them, if you don't like them, well, I'm very sorry. There's plenty more out there on YouTube for you to watch. So you're not stuck with me if you don't want to be. So until then, bye bye.